Welcome to episode 89 of Bits and Pieces. This is a really special episode because normally in all episodes, we try to look at multiple topics. We talk about many things. This episode is none of that. We are only going to talk about one topic because there is just one story today. On the night of 24th September 2023, 2 weeks before the World Cup. Every story has a situation and a conflict. And here is the situation. Every single box that the Indian cricket team squad wanted to check has been checked. They wanted to know whether Hardik Pandya could bat. He could. Could he bowl? He could. Can Kuldeep bowl? Of course. Can Shreyas bat? Yes, he can, apparently. Is KL Rahul going to be a good wicketkeeper and a batter? Yes, he very much so. Can Jadeja bowl? Of course, we know that. Gill. So the situation is clear. Every single player, even Sky, has started making runs. So the Indian cricket team knows that all boxes have been checked. That is the situation. But here lies the conflict. And the conflict is very simple. Who needs to get injured for Ashwin to get into this team? And that is what we're going to discuss today. Today's episode is also nice because coincidentally, just completely coincidentally, everybody who decided to show up on this wonderful Sunday night and morning across time zones in the other side of the world are all people who said, maybe we should get Ashwin into the squad. And here is the team of I Told You So's. Starting, of course, with the wonderful Max who's joining us all the way from the United States, early morning, coincidentally has two lovely daughters, and said on this very podcast a few episodes back, Macha, don't worry, there are a lot of ODIs left from now on. Anything can happen. Asia Cup is going to happen. There are 3 ODIs in Australia. I am telling you, Ashwin will come back into the side. Welcome, Chief Emperor of I Told You So about Ashwin. Thanks.
Thank you.
The second person also said we basically should get someone like Ashwin into the side. He didn't say it directly, but I read between the lines. And I quote, sometime back in the WhatsApp group that we are all a part of, people were asking, we need someone. Is this guy doing an audition for Lodha Cup? Lodha Cup? Really, this guy is doing an audition? And then someone replied, he does not need to do an audition because Vikas is enough. Why is Vikas enough? Because Vikas has all-round skills. Someone else has all-round skills and is enough. Don't you agree, Vikas? Welcome to this podcast.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here.
Very good. Sometimes in order to tell stories about the future and to basically make predictions, you need to look to the past. And who else does that on a regular basis than our next guest? Welcome, Abhishek Chopra, and tell us on this momentous day, what does it remind you of? What match does it remind you of? Does it remind you of some county match that happened in the 1950s, perhaps? Or does it remind you of some interesting and an important World Cup match? Tell us, what does today remind you of?
I think some of the bowling today reminded me of that classic Ashwin wicket of Hashim Amla. I think it was a T20 World Cup around the wicket, and that absolute bamboozler of a ball that beat the great man from South Africa all ends up. So I think it was over the wicket, but the Labus Khakni dismissal was quite similar. Also a South African, you can say. So yeah, good tidings for India, good tidings for Ashwin.
Excellent. Thank you, Chopra. I knew I could lean on you, completely unprompted, for you to pick an example that we did not completely remember, but seems very relevant today. Great. Thank you so much. Our last panelist. Well, I don't know actually if he really was Ashwin back in the squad, but he's from Chennai, so I'm just assuming he was Ashwin back in the squad. So say hi, Murli. How are you?
Nandri. Yeah, see, Madras represent, Tamil Nadu represent. Having had the Srinivasan eras, it's good to always have one Tamilian somewhere in the midst, occasionally putting these few words in there. We lost the Dinesh Kartiks and the Washington Sundars, so glad to have Ash back in the mix.
Wait. I want to read out a message that Murli had sent on the group not a great time ago, actually, very recent. Where is it?
This is exactly what this podcast is about.
Let me put
showing
needle in
people.
banana. Okay, wait, let me find it. Murli, you can find it, no?
Which one?
Where you said this is the hill you want to die on and everything.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Ha 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 ha. Ashna will quietly do kutti stories at home despite any and all exploits here. Just my gut feel. Unless in reality an actual injury happens. I do not see the strength he brings. Sorry, happy to die on this hill.
I am really happy to die on this hill. If it's the part where we start actually discussing things, I just needed. So Rohit Sharma's call to Ashwin reminded him of this format called One Day Internationals. You should understand that was the state at which he was also like, next time we'll call Badivelu. No, actually, we'll call Shahrukh Khan or Atli. And then at the point, Rohit Sharma calls, you want to play ODIs? One day internationals. Yes. Oh, yeah, sure. That's kind of the way he got into the squad. It wasn't like he was practicing 15 different types of balls or anything. And I agree that the even outside argument of we needed a right arm off break that could genuinely challenge, the left-handers a little bit, I agree. But that's Ashwin's strengths in tests. Yes, I'm so happy he got exploits. Abdina, by that rule, Prasidh Krishna got 2 wickets. Is he a certain into the squad? Everybody is getting runs. Tilak Verma also should get in then. So I think I'm glad he's back, but I'm continuing to stay on the top of the hill that says he's nowhere in the World Cup scenes for me, boss.
Hey, Murli, but even before we go there, PGK started this whole discussion with saying BCCI, Indian cricket team has a conflict right now. Given that the fact, the couple of episodes back, we had Sharda on the pod. The only conflict which we had couple of weeks back was a conflict of interest. From there to today, where we have more ticks than the boxes. I mean, we've really come a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And from top of the hill.
Yeah, not to burst your bubble.
PGK is speechless.
Sorry about that. Burst, right? Because Chops hit the sensitive spot. He took reality and put it out.
It's okay. It's fine. Murli said, this is the hill that I will die on. Congratulations. We are on top of that very hill. We are recording this podcast sitting on that hill. So it is fine. It's okay. Yeah. That is what this podcast is.
Outstanding wicket though. I'll give that Labuskagni wicket. Oh, superb. It was beautiful. Great bowling also. That one that spun and missed everyone. Bat, pad, then the keeper and spun nearly outside of leg stump was a peach of a delivery. Nevertheless, please do kutti stories.
Also, but I think the kutti stories that he's doing right now, is actually recorded sometime back. I think it was maybe when the WTC was good. He was like, see, anyway, I'm not going to play. Because if you look at his on that first episode, he's done this first episode with Harsha Bogle. I'm looking at the video, I'm like, Macha, you don't have this facial hair now. This is like, and I'm not Tony who can track Ashwin's career through his facial hair. What point in the month? May. Oh, this is when he was in May. Okay, so I can't do that. But I know that it was from some time back.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So maybe we can have both. Maybe we'll be bowling and doing kutti stories archive. Pre-recorded kutti stories for your consumption. Nice.
Yeah, Macha, the real question is if Ashwin is coming in, then who actually goes out? We don't really have Hank on the podcast, so who is going to bat for Shardul?
It's okay if you don't have Hank. Hank is like whoever comes, whoever goes. India will not make it to semi-finals. Okay, but Max, I want to throw it to you, Max. Please start by telling us about this prediction. How did you know, Max? What went through your mind at that point in time? Please tell us. Because you're really one of the first people who called it out.
See, for two reasons. One, I've always felt that this Akshar, Jad, Kuldeep thing is, from a sameness of bowling, right? I always felt, because Kuldeep at least you can put in separate, but Akshar and Jad, I always felt was going to be a problem. Now the only thing, however, and especially I think what kicked it in my head was that Stokes assault. I think that's the day I called it. When Stokes went carnage, I'm like, okay, they brought this guy out of the dead, and now not only that, he's in crazy form, and is there any person on the earth who can make him out? So I was thinking. So then, yes, there is only one man, right, who can come up and do things like that. So that's what brought that in. But and also on a more serious note, I was thinking from that standpoint. And we also had this thing in the T20 World Cup, right, when Jad was out, and then they said they brought Ashwin back, and it was like, why is Ashwin playing a white ball? Exactly happened just before the T20 World Cup, because Jad was out, they brought him in. But the only thing, and this is where the gamble is going to come down to, is that Ashwin is obviously a much better bowler than Akshar at 8. But Akshar can hit those sixes over long on and long off, which Ashwin, probably will hit it over cover and get you a boundary and so on. And so that's where it comes out. Do you need that extra batter or the better batter or the better bowler? The Shardul experiment, I just don't see at all. It just doesn't make sense. And I'm glad today's game and yesterday's game were testaments to that. Because you're sitting out one of Shami and Siraj to make the 11. And then you're saying Shardul is going to play ahead of that other person. That just is absurd. Plus with Hardik giving you 5. So the who sits out, I hope it is Shardul. And you still have an Akshar based on how it goes. But yeah, it's also from a point of not emotion, because this is going to be the last World Cup for Virat, Ashwin, Shami, a bunch of these guys, right? Even Warner, Smith, Williamson, Root. This is going to be their last World Cup. So it'd be nice if they were all in there at the same time. That's more from that standpoint as well.
Nice.
But there was this wonderful piece by Karthik, I think, Choppy, you shared it on the group, right? And fact there really resonated with me. And it's that, in effect, Shardul isn't really competing with a Siraj or a Shami for that third seamer spot. He is competing with an Akshar or an Ashwin. So basis the amount of spin the wicket is taking, basis the runs forecast on the wicket, you will choose to play exactly one of these three. So for spinners, Kuldeep and Jadeja are obviously the two fixes. And basis the pitch, you either choose Akshar or Shardul or Ashwin. Yeah. So I don't know.
Ashwin is not in the squad yet. Relax.
But that is why we are here, Murli. That is what we are here to discuss. It's like what
went
we
from
said in the last.
hypothesis to an ingrained belief. Ashwin is there. Now we decide how to pick. If we start in alphabetical order, Akshar will be below. But if we start reverse alphabetical, Shardul will come first. Guys, he's not there. Wait for somebody to get injured first.
Harry Brook also was not there in the English squad. Okay. Everyone was crying and writing think pieces of how Harry Brook is missing out. Ben Stokes himself, who took Harry Brook's spot to come into the squad, said it is unfortunate. And now Harry Brook is in the squad.
But Harry Brook,
yeah, but they had they knew who to kill, no? Because it's like what we said in the last podcast. Like we were discussing for like 5 minutes who that Friends scene, like who has to die for me to get the baby. It's like that. They also looked around who has to die for Harry Brook to come in the squad. They're like, oh, Jason Roy, yeah, you go. So it's clear for them. I think for us it is a little less clear. But I'll just follow up on what Vikas said. That's actually an excellent article written by, I believe it was Karthik Krishnaswamy. We'll link to it in the show notes. But his premise fundamentally is that he's saying that no matter what happens, India are not going to go to a game without someone who can bat at number 8. So that is set in stone. So everything starts there. So once you start there, then automatically it gets out this possibility of trying to play Bumrah, Shami and Siraj together. So that's out completely. That's what he means when he says that Shardul is not competing with any of them. I think the real problem India is going to face with this number 8 is that fine. Let's even go with Murli. Let's say Ashwin is out. He's right. Okay, Ashwin is not in the squad. The thing is, they have 2 number 8s, and the problem is the 2 number 8s have both done a halfway job. Nobody has really sealed it. So even if you look at, say, Shardul has batted a bit. I think one game in the Asia Cup he tonked around a little bit, but his bowling has been one game he bowled very well. He bowled reasonably well. He got some 3-4 wickets or something. His batting has been terrible. Akshar, on the other hand, his batting has been fantastic. And in fact, he tonked around, just like how Shardul got wicket. That day also, this guy got runs. I think both of them were against opposition that wasn't the best. But still, they got runs. But his bowling was terrible.
Name it Bangladesh.
Oh, of course it is. Yes. No wonder. Okay, yeah. Of course, opposition was bad. So facts are facts. So anyway, I think that's the real problem. Because your 2 number 8s, neither of them has delivered on both aspects of what you expect from them. And the question is, maybe you can look at Ashwin and say, maybe he can do both. And he can do both reasonably well. And let's go with him. That's the theory.
But effectively, between, say, a Hardik and the player who's batting at or bowling at number 8, you just need 10 overs, right? And Hardik, the kind of bowling form he's in, he is going to give you those 6-7 overs. So you just need, say, 3 overs, be it Ashanna, okay, not part of the squad, doesn't matter, be it Ashanna or Akshar or say even a Shardul, how does it matter? As long as Hardik continues to bowl the way he's bowling, I think we should be in a fairly good shape.
No, that's not necessarily true, because if you're on a spinning wicket, then Hardik is then you really don't need 4 pacers, right? So even so, let's say for in that case, if you basically play Akshar and Kuldeep, so what? You're going to play 13 overs of spin. That also doesn't make sense. So Hardik, yes, he solves some problems. He doesn't solve all problems.
I agree with one perspective that I think the batting is the reason why the 8th place is becoming more of a reason for judgment and for options. I don't like Vikas said, I think the bowling is not a problem. Actually, we do have enough bowlers. A lot of people that can, bowl pretty well. They are in good form as well. That if you bring Aksar, even let me fly with you on your little rainbow. Ashwin also you bring. Those 10 overs are not the game changer we're worried about. It is the batting, because Jadeja hasn't really been scoring runs. Aksar got to hit a few runs, I agree, but it's not in some emphatic statement that he can constantly come and score well. That we feel like, of course, Surya is there, but we don't know if he's in the scheme of things. Everybody else is getting runs. But imagine we are 100 for 4 or 100 for 5 like Australia were today. That number 8s will be super critical, taking us to 220, 230, which I think we have to invest in an Aksar, which is why he may get the edge. In terms of bowling, even if it's a spinning track, I think we have enough options to be able to go through. It's just my perspective on things.
No, but
So
you don't have
Murli,
enough options. That's exactly my point. You have exactly. Oh, actually, you have Jadeja. Fine. Okay, fair. You do agree
no,
that
you
you
have
can.
Jadeja, right? You're good. But no, so here, let's do this thing. Right? Since we're being so overtly self-critical and self-flagellating ourselves here, uh, let's look at all the 8s around the teams, right? Let's pick out all the 8s, and then you can say, okay, compared to all these 8s, is the 8 you're picking better? If you try to pick an 8 because your 6 are not good enough, that's a different problem. But if your 8 is good enough as the other 8s, then it's not. It's a different disposition completely.
No, I think the point that PGK made, which is also there in the article, Shardul versus Shami. That's the article. I think the point is India have been scarred enough number of times in white ball, multi-nation tournaments, World Cups, whatever, by left arm pacers, etc., for us to have a deep batting lineup. They want a real batter. I don't know how that batter will turn out to be, of course, but they want a real batter at number 8, and that's not going to go away. So, what you said about comparison of number 8s might not be the test that they are looking at, the selectors or the team management is looking at, because they're just saying, boss, whatever the other teams are doing, we are going to be 17 for 3 or whatever, 5 for 3 at some stage, and hence we need 5 more batters after that. End of story. Everything circles around that. Everything gets structured around that. The bowlers, the batters get structured around that, and which is why I mean, most of us on the group, except one gentleman, don't like Shardul all that much, but I think he's a certainty. The team believes that he's going to pick up, those wickets out of nowhere, and he's going to perhaps tonk a few in a few games. But I do think he's a certainty, except for the one odd match where I don't know, Chennai, for example, where the pitch is known to turn right from ball 10 or whatever, where Ashwin or whoever are the other spinners, extra spinners, might get a chance. I think Shardul is a certainty, whether we like it or not. The other thing that could happen for Ashwin to get into the squad, as Murli has asked multiple times, is the meme that I think Nitin has shared on the group, where there's a jail and 2 folks are breaking Aksar's already injured hand. I think that's going to happen, and Ashna is going to come back in. I don't think you can rule him out after these 2 performances, and if the pitches are going to be anything like that, perhaps spinning and skidding a lot more under the lights, then he's a certainty. And I think the reason for it is very simple. The sameness is a bit too much, and you want variety in the spin attack.
So,
But Choppy, even if you follow what you were saying, Choppy, are you still saying Shardul is a better batter than Akshar?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that you want differentiation in spin, and you want batting till number 8. Now, what gives you both
I get
these
that.
things? It's this one combination only. If you take these 2 things as set.
Because see, though I've always felt that Shardul has been in the team as cover for Hardik, because you never know when that guy will break down. Right? It's like, okay,
Yeah,
it's
true.
put together with Band-Aid and all of that. Now it's working. I don't know when this is going to break down. When this breakdown, because however you see it, right? Okay, we have Gill, we have Rowe, we have Virat. The two most important people in this team are Jad and Hardik. Without
Correct.
those two,
I
there is no other
100% agree. Those are
thing
the
you can
only
do.
two spots for which there is absolutely no replacement. Like, even if
Yeah.
you're saying about Shardul, even if you take the argument that Shardul is in the squad, he's such a poor replacement. Like, Hardik bats at 6. Shardul, we are talking about how bad he is at 8. So it's not going to, it's such a bad replacement. So I completely agree. Those two are the only people whom you cannot replace. Anyone else gets injured,
Yeah, you are
you can figure
screwed.
out
Your
something.
the tournament just goes, because
Exactly.
you have a problem with Gill. You call Gaikwad from somewhere, he'll play. Kishan can play. Popeye plays at 3. Sky can play at 5. The top 5, you have enough options and good options that even if two people are out, you can still put
And
together.
all of them are in form.
Yeah.
Everyone's box has
Exactly.
been ticked. There's no question
Everyone's
mark
a
on
form.
any
Even
of
for the
them.
bowling. Even for the bowling, right? Prasidh is
Yes.
doing decently enough, and then you have Shami, all these guys. So, but anything happens to 5 and 6, you just fold up and start playing IPL. That's it.
So, Mayur, I just did some background research for you. Okay, the number 8s you have on offer are Marco Janssen and Andy Felukuayo, David Willey and Wokes, Matthew Short and Agar, Jamieson and Santner, Shadab Khan, and whoever you discovered in India. Now tell me.
Wait, Shadab is 7.
At least he's batted at 8 in the last 2 scorecards I can see in front of me. Shaheen
No, that's
Afridi is
because
at
they've
8.
tried that whole experiment. Shadab plays 7. Janssen plays 7. They're all their number 7. Their number 8s are
Then
actually not that good.
He's
That's why
right.
Shadab is 8.
Janssen is 7. I'm not sure about Shadab, but he's right that Janssen is 7. That's why people were talking how, if you look at South Africa again have gone practically with a 6-5, like they've always had, because they never had that one crazy this thing, because all their bowlers can bat a bit. Some of their batters can bowl a little. So they are like, we'll go with a 6-5 combination. Good luck. So in that logic, Janssen is 7.
agreed. Yeah,
Janssen comes in at 7. Shadab comes in at 7. Santner comes in at 7. That's most of the team. That's what I'm saying. A lot of these teams have either 3 gun bowlers or 4 gun bowlers. And
Isn't Australia's number 8 Pat Cummins?
Cummins.
Who else can it be?
Matthew Short or Pat Cummins.
Short isn't in the squad, no?
Not yet. Short isn't going to play. It's going to be Agar.
Shankaran is good, no?
Agar.
Agar is fit, yeah. Sam Curran is good, no? I think he's probably the best number 8 going around.
Yeah.
Sam Curran is the best number 8, and that is the whole reason all other teams are squirming and trying to do something with number 8, because of this useless England problem. Otherwise, no one even thinks of 8. You have 6, 7 is a bonus, and then you have bowlers. These idiots brought in Sam Curran, and that has caused commotion across nations. Everyone is now struggling to what to do.
All of their 3 number 8 options seem outstanding. I think even Wokes and Willie are just as good.
Yeah.
Willie, Wokes, and Sam Curran would mean that a proper bowler who can kind of proper bat too, which is completely unlike Shardul, which is like my neighborhood pizza. You'll believe it's a pizza, but nothing else. So Shardul is like, all right, I believe you. But it's not like you're going to really change the game or score runs or anything like that. So maybe
Sam Curran basically is combined 2 India number 8s, plus he's a left armer. So it's actually 3. So they have basically
and if Sam Curran is John T. Rhodes, Shardul feels like my uncle. Oh my God, what? He sees the ball and jumps over it. What is going on?
I think that the Shardul thing, I think we all agree that, we are all having very strong views that they are going to back Shardul. Shardul has a purpose in the squad. They're all going but I feel like after 2 ODIs now, I feel like they're all going to now start to rethink that a little. Not just because of how attractive Ashwin's starting to look, but also because how much Shardul has been talked. So he's actually had really bad 2 ODIs in a row. So I think, and very clearly you can see the opposition is like, they're going after him. They're targeting him because they cannot target anybody else. And against like Stokes and all that, I mean, Shardul bowling to Stokes in the current form and all, I have no idea what's going to happen.
So I have a question. How many of these grounds have gotten pitches relayed?
Lucknow only, no? Just one. Yeah.
I think so.
I think another ground they tried to relay the pitch and then fungus grew and the Last of Us Part 3 is going on in Dharamshala right now, where who knows?
So it's just Lucknow. So then we can expect Eden and Chepauk and all that to be like the way they are supposed to be and turn a bit
Yeah.
and stuff. Pretty
Yeah, the
much.
only unknown is that all the pitches are supposedly curated by ICC. So it's not BCCI holding that much sway on the pitches. So that's the only unknown.
It's also the beginning of the season, right? So the pitches would
Freshness.
be fresher. Yeah.
Is Australia playing badly or are India just playing too well?
I mean, I don't think you can make a case that India are not playing well. I will come to Australia, but I don't think you can make that case. I mean, if you look at Asia Cup, if you look at now, I mean, I don't think there's any case that you can make that this is some fluke or something. I don't think so. They're playing really, really well. Australia, I don't understand. Okay, Australia, I played today morning. I went to play a game. It's like a game of box cricket. I played that with more intensity and seriousness than David Warner today. Okay, so I don't understand what is going on in this team. I really don't, honestly.
No, but
What
I
was
think
David Warner doing? Why? I don't understand. Is that something that are they having fun? Is this like the new light-hearted Australian side? Can you imagine the Australian side from 2003 or something like that doing something like this in a game like this?
I think Australia is going to turn up the heat when it comes to the real games. These bilaterals can go take a hike for all you care. And I mean, okay, it didn't come off today, and Warner is perhaps not at the best stage of his career. But I mean, just imagine that you have a batter who can actually, against an international bowling attack, turn up and bat either left-handed or right-handed. I mean, how cool is that? So, I mean, for all you know, it could just be a fun experiment, as PGK is saying. But I think he did play a few shots while batting right-handed. So I think it's fine. I don't know why he's in the squad though. But other than that, I think their big guns are out. Stark is out. Cummins is out. A few of the others who are perhaps Marsh is rested. So I think when the big games come, they're going to go all guns blazing, and you can never write off Australia in a World Cup. I mean, it's just going to be them turning up for sure. Abhi Spencer Johnson and Matthew Short and
I want to read this Varun Murali's message, man. These Aussie stars are like those lazy nerds in engineering college, all year lazing around, sleeping and all. Jaise final exam aata hai, they will top.
Yeah.
This is a perfect explanation of what they're doing.
Yeah.
That too, they're failing the last, whatever midterm exams also 5 in a row. Coming back and topping is, I think, totally expected.
I think someone mentioned on Twitter, oh no, what is it called now? X, that
what is it called now? Did he change the name today again? No, he didn't. Okay.
That's why he called it X.
That 2007 also they had a big losing streak, but I mean, it just turned up, man. Like when the World Cup comes up.
But on the Indian
Australia
team
doesn't
side,
have a problem. Sorry, I was saying Australia doesn't have a problem. Everyone's in decent nick. Like, Warner scored runs, Labuschagne scored runs, Zampa bowled well, and then Cummins bowled decently. Hazelwood just got a game, and even in South Africa, right? Mitch Marsh got some runs. So everyone they're doing this whole thing very much like how we're giving Sky and these guys a chance. They're giving all these other guys a chance to see what happens if someone breaks down. So both teams are treating this purely as warm up. India also treating it as warm up. I mean, getting Ashwin is purely a warm up exercise just to see what will happen. Unfortunately, it has created problems. That's all. Had he gone like the way Nitin and these guys were expecting, it would have been acha. He came and he went. Now, unfortunately, you have got created problems. Sky has scored 250s. Iyer suddenly, his back is all right. He's scoring 100.
Yeah.
We have unfortunately created a problem of plenty. But for Australia, it has gone as it is expected. In fact, both teams were not expected to do well this series. So imagine that I was saying the biggest showed up with a hat trick. What would you do?
Yeah, the biggest problem for Australia this World Cup is the most informed batter Travis Head is injured, right? So in fact, over the last couple of years, he has been a standout performer for them. Their best batsman in this format. In fact, even in test matches, fabulous player. So he will be a big loss at the top. Marsh did play a couple of fairly good innings as an opener. Do you think he'll open in the World Cup, Choppy? Marsh and Warner?
I think there's a
Right.
good chance that they might go for that, or at least use that as a surprise option at some stage during the World Cup, because I also think Marsh is someone who can bat against spin decently well. And you will have, I think 2011 also you had Ash Anna opening the bowling on a few occasions. You will have spinners opening the bowling for different teams, and so I think he's a good chance to open. Plus, I think he's in that rich vein of form, confidence at an all-time high. So yeah, why not give him a go right away at the top?
So is it
Marsh
now
is 100
decided
also.
that
Yeah.
is it now decided that they'll have to play Manas?
Hmm.
Because that's now the other situation. I always assumed that the Travis Head injury, fine, of course it's bad and it's definitely made them a weaker side, but it just solves the Marnus Labuschagne problem for them, because Marnus Labuschagne was doing the same thing that was happening to India, where you basically had Ishan Kishan, who was supposed to basically be your backup. Backup is now scoring runs. Marnus Labuschagne came, of course, he's not done it over that period of time and that intensity, but still, but he did that
I
when he
think
was
I
super
think they're
subbed in.
still going to be iffy about Marnus for the simple reason that I mean, when the Australians toured India recently and in this match now, he's perhaps looked quite clueless against spin. Like he doesn't know his front foot from his back foot, and I mean, I think that is the biggest weakness that he has. Yes, he did well in South Africa, scored that I think brilliant 100, but I think spin is going to be the problem for him, and that's why I don't think he's a sure shot guy in the first playing 11 that they'll have. But yeah, I mean the door is
Unless they open with Labuschagne. And
Yeah.
then they basically say, okay, you know what, just do this one thing for us.
Yeah,
So yeah, that might happen.
Australia have a all-rounder problem. They have
Too many?
Stoinis,
Too many.
Stoinis, Green. Yeah, exactly. Stoinis, Green, Maxwell, and Marsh.
Marsh.
Right?
Hmm.
With all of
Agar.
these four, they can only play
Agar.
two.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Agar is their number 8. He's fighting with shot. That's okay. They're fine there.
Yeah, that's true. But coming back to India, it looks like now the only other question, the major question that needs to be resolved, apart from the big this thing on number 8, is who plays now between Shreyas, KL, and Ishan. So that's the one thing that I'll ask all of you to weigh in between them, and then we can move on
How
KL
can
to
you
plays for
drop-
sure, right?
How can you
KL
drop
plays for
KL?
sure.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't drop KL if you made him captain, vice captain, and all.
Oh,
is
really?
India.
There is a rule like that, is it?
This is India. Those kind of imaginary crowns are there. You made him captain, you dropped him from the 11 itself. That's not happening. So he is playing. There is still that discussion between Shreyas and Ishan, which is a good problem to have. I feel like KL walks himself in. Anyway, there was more than I think the sense of scoring runs, the kind of way in which he managed certain parts of the games and certain innings to be able to shepherd and take it to a point where somebody at the other end was possibly, aggressive, playing well, different, but he was able to take the innings to that level. Even with that Sky innings, I think he was playing something very sensible at the other end, and that's something 50 over format definitely needs. So for me, I feel like KL is a definite in all
See,
schemes of things. but
I
could be wrong.
mostly agree with you. I think you're right. But also remember that KL, if you're talking about Ashwin being backup to backup, today, let's just understand KL is backup to backup to backup captain. So he's your first choice captain. Well, one can argue if he's your first choice captain is Rohit Sharma. Then after that, you have Hardik. Then after that, you have Bumrah. None of them were playing. Then they were like, we have to make someone the captain. So we're like, chalo, let's make him the captain. I mean, that's the only thing that I'm reading into this. Who else will you make captain in this team? I think just because you're making captain doesn't mean you'll drop him.
No,
So,
I
or you'll
think
That was
not
a
drop him.
joke.
I think it's a wicketkeeper batter thing, and there I think KL scores above Ishan Kishan, and that's the end of that.
Yeah.
I
They
don't
won't drop
think
KL. Fine, I agree. They won't drop KL. But come
Yeah.
on, others.
No,
Max,
the real question
plus-
is between Sky, Ishan
Oh, Sky is
Kishan,
also
and
there.
Iyer.
Okay, very
Yeah.
good. Oh, now Sky is in contention. Very
Of course,
good.
Sky,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Back
No,
up
I
to the-
think,
back up to the-
Mumbai,
back up to the
Mumbai
backup.
person has come to the defense. There is an agenda within this agenda of this podcast. Very good.
Rahul Dravid has come out all guns blazing in support of Sky. I mean, I don't think in all his tenure so far he has made a statement to the press that strong for any player. So I think he's a good chance, but I'm just thinking that Ishan Kishan is that very elusive left-hander that India, always pine for, and they are not going to have one if you have Rohit and Shubman and Kohli and KL. Those four are right-handers sealed. So for all you know, Ishan Kishan is going to be in the side somewhere just to give that sense of balance, because you just don't have anyone else. I mean, I don't think Tilak Verma is going to be in the 11. So Ishan Kishan might just walk in because of the fact that he's a left-hander.
Unless Gill bats
Tilak in the
left-handed
squad?
like Warner
Unless,
did, no?
unless, yeah.
Yeah. Given
Max,
the kind
so-
of form
Tilak in
he's
the
in,
squad.
he'll
So you
score
think
runs
they're
also.
going to drop Shreyas? Is that what you think, Max?
So I'll tell you this. Just like how the bowling thing, right? I think we have a very sameness in the batting as well. You have Gill, Bro, Virat, and then Iyer and KL. There's a very sameness to that, in a way. And that's the one thing I don't like. And that's where I think Sky and Ishan, they give you that disruptive thing to him. Because if you look at the team, you're like, okay, yeah, these guys are good. They're all accumulators. You have 4 accumulators. Sorry, I'm using some very bad word here.
No, it's an
But
accurate description.
50-over cricket, it's
that's
fine.
what they are.
I agree.
50 over cricket. ठीक है. But there's a very sameness there. And like today, when you saw when Sky came out and walloped Green for those 4 sixes, okay, it was Green. I get it. But even then, right, he walks out, there is something going to happen. Whether it's 0 and he has 5 ducks and all that, or it be this way. Same thing with Ishan, right? There is that buzz that is there. And from a bowler standpoint, like, okay, there is some fear amongst you. But with Iyer and KL, there's a very sameness in there, which that okay, these guys will be dangerous. They'll be dangerous after 30 balls. Till then, I have my chance. After 30 balls, yes, I have to now pucker up. But until then, I can do whatever I want. That's the thing you don't have with these other 2 guys, and that's where I think one of them should play. And unfortunately, yeah. And plus, I'm not very sold on the whole KL keeping thing. I still think that's a bad idea for 11 games. Yeah, there's 11 games him keeping. I don't have a lot of hope on that.
It's made me think what Max said. Can there ever be a situation, because it's a long World Cup, that you play 4 bowlers plus Hardik and best batsman? So this way, both Ishan and Sky come in.
Yeah.
Ishan and Sky.
Yeah.
I was
Why
thinking
not?
Ishan and KL could be
No.
definitely-
Wait. How
Yeah.
how do you do that? Explain.
Say 4 bowlers plus Hardik as a 5th bowler. So you play with 4 regular bowlers plus 1 all-rounder, and Jadeja is a 4th bowler. And then you play all the 6 batsmen. Just like that.
So basically, Jadeja drops 8.
No.
Oh, then you have a very good number 8.
Then what you're really saying is India has only 5 bowling options.
I think in that combination, at least Shardul should open the batting.
I
Well,
don't
if
see
you
that
have-
working.
If you have, and first of all, once again, if you have only 5 bowling options and one of them is Shardul, okay, so I don't think they're going to do that. I really, really doubt it.
No, I don't think that's going to. I think the reason why I would pick Ishan is for a very different reason, that I feel like Shreyas and to a certain extent Sky with his form, they have a little bit of fear in the going in the first early stages and things like that. So there sometimes could be a chance they could lose their wicket. The Ishan fellow has no fear. He's forgotten what it was like to fear anything. Whoever comes and bowls, he's like 2 swipes, I'll take. Worst case, I'll get 1 boundary at least. And that kind of counter punch keeps putting us in good positions. And he did that with Pakistan in a few innings, etc. And the left-hander, additional sort of impetus that he gives as well is why I probably pick him. I don't see that for Sky just yet.
And Max gave that a great of like there is a sameness for all of them. Actually, what he forgot is he forgot one name there. The last name on that list is Hardik Pandya. Hardik Pandya is also exactly like them now. He used to be different. Now he is also become one of them.
Exactly. Guy has forgotten who he was. Ever since he started batting in number 4 for Gujarat, he's like, maybe I am also put my name in the list. I am also one of those guys. So
Hardik Singh Dhoni. Hardik Singh Dhoni.
If you look at the playing 11, right, it doesn't evoke fear. If you look at the England 11 or the England top 6 or the Australian top 6, there are 2 names at least that will evoke fear. Like, okay, shit, something is going to happen. Like when Maxi is walking out, okay, this is box office. When Butler or Stokes, one of these guys are walking out, there is box office. But with the Indian 11, they're like, chalo, yeah, they will go around their uncle business. They will plod around. After 30 balls, yes, one of them will make a century.
Macha,
No, I
three
think-
names in top 10 ODI batsmen. If this doesn't invoke fear, I don't know what would.
No, I think I have a lot of hopes from Rohit as far as the sameness angle is concerned. He has shown a great deal of willingness to let go of the old ways as far as ODI batting is concerned, and he's really showing the way for aggressive batting right from the word go. And I think that article that Monga wrote also alluded to it, that he's the guy who's giving it all right at the top, and the others are seeming to follow him. So I
Chomps,
do
I
hope...
heard the story. I heard the story I heard in T20 World Cup also. Same story I read. So I'm sure maybe even Siddharth Moga wrote that also. Same story it
the
was.
only
And
thing
we know
is
how
that-
that turned out.
The only thing is that in the ODI ODI World Cup or ODI format, the allowance for a few balls is a bit more.
Yeah.
So I hope he lends some of that attacking instinct to the batting lineup. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, the sameness angle is why I think Ishan Kishan is a good chance. And I mean, India are always perennially in the search of that left-hander in the batting lineup. I think it's going to be as simple as that.
Plus, to your
And,
point, PGK, yeah. Last World Cup, while Rohit played all those blazing knocks at the top, the knocks came at home, and the World Cup was in Australia. So the pitches were very different. This time, the
Sure.
pitches would be in India. Yeah. So he would tend to bat probably in a very similar way, the way he's batted over the last 1.5 years.
Asia Cup
also
also
don't-
he did well at the top, right? He
Yeah,
was-
Gill is also not the sameness. I mean, I don't know why, but Gill doesn't look like the kind that's ever looking to accumulate. He hardly plays below 80 strike rate. I think there is a strong
only when he's
brisk
approaching
pace.
100, he'll slow down. No?
That is that. That the today's Shreyas Iyer, it was like Sachin's the 99 and 100 types. It was like, I'll take 20, 30 balls. It's okay. It's my place in the World Cup side. So
What
that
did
I
Ravi
agree.
Shastri call it? It's going to be a very popular 100, was it?
popular. It's
Popular. 100.
Popular.
Yeah, yeah.
because popular maybe, but I don't know.
Happy for him though.
My
Yeah.
vote is for Ishan. That way he can keep. KL is more free to bat the way we want him to bat.
Yeah.
And especially with Hardik and Jad not amongst the runs, that gives them more freedom to play the way they should play.
Yeah.
Because otherwise now you're expecting Hardik or Jad to be the disruptor, which is not going to happen. So
I think the
if Ishan
best
being the disruptor, it solves a lot of problems.
the best case scenario for India is if they get off to a good start, win a few games, then they can try all of these combinations, and maybe all 5 of us will be sitting on the pod again who should play in the semi-finals. So it'll be fun.
No,
But
it's
I want
fine.
to-
My only
Whoever-
problem with Ishan is the spin.
Sorry, what?
Sorry, my only problem with Ishan is with spin. He's looked very suspect against
Especially
Velalage, against
Yeah.
Zampa.
Especially when starting against spin, he looks suspect, and his keeping also against spin looks suspect, to be honest.
But I also want to objectively look at KL's keeping. Then he is also sometimes the squat itself is not going all the way down, and I think those parts are coming through. He's taken some nice catches, but some simple ones, and I think he's missed behind the stumps. Some stumping and all. The stumping happened, but he didn't do it. Those things and all have happened in this season. We have to be honest about it. It's like you got the wicket, it's credited to you, but just because you touched it, you can't say, "Yeah, I stumped him." No, he got stumped. You were there.
I think the problem between the two is Ishan is a better keeper and the better outfielder. So you have to make a choice. Who keeps? Yeah.
This is like the Akshar and Shardul thing, but now between the keepers also. I like it. It's wonderful.
Hey,
But
given
one thing that we can all agree, irrespective of whether all of this, we should just spend maybe 2 minutes talking about Shubman Gill before we move on to other things.
2 minutes. It's almost like a condolence thing. 2 minutes.
2
Come on.
minutes
The,
silence.
the,
we-
the only
do we
the only
have-
condolence
yeah.
is actually for the opposition, because he's just looking in today. Harsha basically on this thing on the commentary said something interesting. He said that the maximum number of runs in a calendar year, the record is held by Sachin Tendulkar in 1998, and it's something like 1800 runs.
Yeah.
And Gill right now is
Yeah.
probably crossed 1200 runs. So he's saying that, look, think about it. You have like 9 games. Gill is obviously going to play all of them. And then you have ODIs after that as well, apparently. So there's a pretty good chance that this could end up becoming like one of the best years by any player in ODI history.
Yeah.
We had that counter, right? Couple of pods ago, the 3,000 run counter. So yeah, he's 1,300 on that. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I really have seen him change the way the lines that bowlers bowl, simply because for him it's a little more width than what other batsmen get. If it's not wide enough, also it is still comfortably going between point, cover point, and covers. He's able to comfortably, with that short arm jab, power it so hard that he opens them up and they go straight. He whacks them straight down the ground too. It's just gorgeous to watch him bat in the early stages when the ball is coming right on. And of course, he's scoring runs at will. It's a joke. Like him getting 100 is just like, yeah, just another day for him.
Yeah, I have pulled out the numbers. So 1998, Sachin scored 1894 runs in 34 matches, average of 65.31, of course, strike rate of that era, 102.15.
That era.
Shubman is 1230, 1230 runs, 12 matches. I think after today's match, 72.35, and this
Strike rate
era,
of
105.
Yeah, 105. Yeah.
It's still pretty good.
Yeah.
It keeps it tight, I think.
Yeah.
Nice. Good going.
So we have all agreed that between Ishan, KL, Shreyas, there is all kinds of debate going on. Everywhere there is debate going on. The one thing we can all agree on is that Ashwin obviously plays number 8. Yeah, I mean, of course, that is like, we don't disagree on that. All right, maybe we should spend just like a few minutes talking about all the other teams. We already covered Australia, but maybe a quick roundup on all the others, and we will end with all the tamasha that is happening in Pakistan. Now it feels like a World Cup. Now Pakistan are really bringing it through, but we'll come to Pakistan at the end. So others, England, New Zealand, South Africa, Sri Lanka.
So New Zealand is pretty interesting right now.
New Zealand is interesting. Tell why.
New Zealand is pretty interesting because if you watch, they have a whole problem of who are they going to play? They also have a thing now. Ish Sodhi suddenly has put his hand up.
This multiverse is going on.
They've been backing Rachin Ravindra for a long time, and Santner is definitely a shoe-in. So now they have this problem between Rachin, Ish, and Santner. They can only play 2 of those guys. Santner plays no matter what, but Rachin is the better batter and Ish is the better bowler. So they have that very interesting combination going. And Lockie Ferguson, who been generally shit for a long time, has been given captaincy responsibility. So if you take Murli's logic, he cannot be dropped.
Yes.
He has to play.
But that only works if you work for
How
the
can you
BCCI.
drop the captain?
Yeah.
So the New Zealand team very interesting is happening. But Kane still hasn't gotten a game, so we don't know how that is shaping up. But otherwise, if you look at Phillips, Glenn Phillips, and Daryl Mitchell, that's those 2 guys are very gun. And Conway is like another, just like how we have Gill, Conway is doing the same thing for them, right?
Yeah.
So that is going fabulously well for them. So it's only now to see if they can fit in Kane and how he's able to play, because again, it's going to be his last World Cup as well. And this whole spin problem with Rachin and Ish Sodhi, and I like Ish Sodhi a lot. And I felt very weird that when he was in like a management role at Rajasthan and all sorts of shit. But the guy is a beautiful bowler, so, and especially, he's not built like a spin bowler as well. If you look at him, he looks like someone who should be like, in like a javelin or short put or something like that. And then he comes and bowls like spinning. It's interesting to watch him.
Yeah. It's very Yusuf Pathan vibes. When Yusuf Pathan puts spin, it's a little bit like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So New Zealand.
Like a wrestler.
Yeah. So the news from Sri Lanka, unfortunately, is that Hasaranga is out of the World Cup. And I mean, of course, it solves one question of Velalage, where now he's sure that he's going to play. I mean, maybe he was going to play anyway, but I think now that it's like unambiguous. But I still think they wouldn't take it, right? Obviously, like losing Hasaranga is like close to a death blow. It's like if we lose someone like a Hardik or a Jadeja, something like that.
It's the opposite of losing a Shardul.
And still a better number 8 than India, right?
Oh, he's going to win us games. Oh, we are going to eat our words. I know. Shardul
That's
is
fine.
like-
Then
I have
five other
already
people
said-
can record a podcast. It's okay.
Yes.
It's fine.
You know what other information that article by Karthik K had? It said of all the 27 bowlers who have taken 50 wickets in so many balls, who has the lowest or the best strike rate? It
Was
is
that-
Shardul Thakur. It is
It is
Shardul
Shardul.
Thakur. Yeah.
Yeah,
20 point something, right? 20.4,
27.
20.6.
Yeah.
Yeah. All that is fine. But we are still watching. So, yeah. Okay, so Sri Lanka, Hasranka is out. Anything else about Sri Lanka? Anyone wants to add anything? We already seen them.
I think
Uh,
Sri Lanka is, it depends a lot on how Chamira comes back. Because when they played the Asia Cup, they were without Hasranga, Chamira, Madhushanka, and Lahiru, right? They were without all those guys. And they still did pretty well with the MSD understudies and Velalage. So we have to see how Chamira comes back. But with Chamira, Tikshana, and Velalage, I think their bowling still looks pretty good.
Who'll captain?
Their biggest problem is the Shanaka one. And that's where they are stripping off the captaincy. I just don't know. I don't know how you drop a captain like 15 days before a World Cup.
Murli can
This
explain.
is
no?
even worse. This is worse than Pakistan logic also.
This is a problem of him not performing though, right? Like this was the hard decision they had to take. It's unlike the problem I'm talking about where in India, if you're a captain, the next question they'll ask us, why did you drop the captain? What did he do? But in this case, Shanaka didn't do much at all. It felt like if you didn't strip him of his captaincy, it would be harder to just take him along and as dead weight. And I think that's kind of why they took the hard reason right before a World Cup. But I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think England we have already touched on. Is there anything else you want to add on England? Because, of course, Stokes is back. Harry Brook, we've spoken about that. New Zealand, Australia, any other team that or South Africa. Maybe we should spend like a couple of minutes on South Africa.
They are my
This
dark
is,
horse.
South Africa have a very interesting thing going on.
Yeah.
It seems like only Max knows the answers to the question I'm asking, but it's fine. It's okay. Go ahead.
And
Max.
apparently every team has something interesting going on.
Yeah. No, but that's good. That's what we want to know. The four of us are like obsessed with Ashwin. Max was like looking everywhere. He was like all over the place. Yes, go on, Max. Tell us about South Africa. What's so special?
No, because
about
if you look at
them?
South Africa, right, their top six is gone. And like PGK, you're saying, they have this 6 and fighting there.
Yeah.
You have Bauma, who's suddenly in the runs. They have Klaasen. They have Van der Dusen. Quinton is also going really good. So that top 6 is looking fabulous.
Sorry, I just want to interrupt and tell you that their top 6, in a way, is a very much like the inverse of India's top 6. Where, as you said, India's top 6 has a sameness, right? And there is no one who, when you step out, you really fear. That is not, in fact, that's the exact opposite true about South Africa. All 6 of them, you see, you fear all 6 of them because all 6 of them can do anything on their day. None of them are like the accumulator types, unless I'm wrong. Maybe
Bauma
Bauma
says hi.
Well, and like
Maybe Bauma,
Temba maybe, right? Temba is
Fair.
in that zone.
Fair.
On a difficult slow pitch, Temba is the perfect foil for a 51 of 79 that will put them 240 that somebody will somehow land up defending. So Bauma he's got runs under his belt in the recent past. South Africa are a nice dark horse. I also feel like before you move past Sri Lanka, they are a good team to knock one of the better teams out. Like it will be a difficult time for them. Sri Lanka will come and stage 2-3 nice wins and then quietly bow out, but some other team will cry at home. So I think those things Sri Lanka are capable of. With South Africa,
basically putting needle in banana.
Exactly. They are perfect team.
Sri Lanka are a conditions-based team. Right? Sri Lanka is a conditions-based team. If you look at that 11 that they have, Asalanka, Sadira, the team that played the Asia Cup final, right? I mean, you bring in Chamira and some of the others. They are a very conditions-based team. So depends on where they are playing, they will be a handful.
But why was South Africa interesting? You said about the 6 people, but go on.
Because that 6 is so explosive, and then you have our man Marco Jansen, and then it just falls off a cliff after that.
Correct.
Because also they lost Andrik Norke, and then his backup, Siseta Magala, also they have lost.
Correct.
So
this falls off a cliff, I think, some other people have also, someone else I read about this fall off a cliff thing. But you're right. So that is an interesting
because
situation.
Jansen itself, right? Jansen also is more of a Shardul Thakur kind of a batter. He's a much better bowler, obviously, but still from a batting standpoint, he's still a Shardul Thakur batter. Okay, we're not. He's not Sam Curran kind of batting. So that's it. They have an explosive 6 until Miller. Then you have Janssen, which itself is like, acha. Janssen is an 8, not a 7. And then uske baad they have Keshav Maharaj, Tabriz Shamsi, Rabada, and you're like, "Arey, aur kya? Kya hai? Kya chal raha hai idhar?"
I really think Max has reached that level where ICC is now listening into the live recording of the pod. Like, so much encyclopedic knowledge about all the teams. Unreal. But on Sri Lanka, I'm reading this piece which was updated 7 hours ago. Hasaranga out. Chamira, big doubt over his participation. Thikshana has also strained his hamstring, but should be fit for the opening game. So I think Chamira, not being fit is going to be a major blow. Because otherwise they just have spinners. I mean, no other pacer to speak of.
Yeah,
That's sad.
I think
not
the
their
other
best spinner also.
Hmm?
And not their best spinner also. They're
Yeah.
a fairly ordinary set of spinners. Sorry, go on, PJ.
No, I was just saying that the one team which is also in a very, very, I wouldn't say interesting, but delightfully amazing situation, gives me special joy, is Bangladesh. Bangladesh is in some fun place. Max, do you want to talk a little bit about Bangladesh? Okay, the part that is interesting. So apart from the fact that they're doing all of these things that's going on, they are having a ball and a proper fight among captains. So all other teams are trying to figure out who to put in 5, 6, 8, whatever, etc. Bangladesh is having an existential war. Okay, they are basically saying, see, our team is our team, that's fine. But every captain's philosophy will get revealed one by one. So first was supposed to be Tamim Iqbal. Then Tamim Iqbal said, I'm retiring from cricket and all that. Then President, Prime Minister calls and says, no, you can't retire. They're like, okay, fine, I'll come back. So he comes back. Then today, it is then after that, Shakib captains them in the Asia Cup, right? And we know how that turned out. Fine, that worked out over there. Now what happened is today, who captained today? Someone captained today. And then they... sorry?
Litan
Das captains today. Correct. Litan Das captains today. And they decide when they basically do run out on the non-striker side of Ish Sodhi, by the way. That time they decide, no. This captain is a magnanimous captain. He is not the kind of cutthroat captains like the other Bangladeshi captains. He will go to Ish Sodhi. He will say, no, spirit of game. You come back and play. He overturns the bowler. And then, of course, everyone is hugging each other and all that stuff. And later, Tamim Iqbal basically tells in a press conference, he's not even there. He's not the captain. He tells on a press conference, listen, if I was captain, what I would do is that I would basically stand by. Either you decide to do it or not do it. If you decide to do it, and then you stand by it, or you don't do it. It's also a reasonable position. But that is his debate. He is saying that this is my philosophy. Now, you have to understand that. Now, just now, Bangladesh have announced that the 2 ODIs done. The third ODI is going to be captained by Shanto. So they're trying another captain right now. They are trying which captain's philosophy do we like? Please tell us.
Because they haven't picked a captain for the World Cup yet. They have announced a squad, but they haven't picked a captain for the squad yet.
It's not going to be Tamim. I thought it was going to be Tamim, no?
Should have been Tamim, but then Tamim should have captained in these warm-up games. They are trying out different captains as well now. So we have no... They themselves don't know if Tamim is going to last the competition. What if middle of the competition he says, I'm going to retire and go away? What do they do?
So they haven't announced a squad.
No, they've announced a squad. He's saying they're not announced a captain.
I think by having different
I think they said
captain, that Murli philosophy will come in handy. Like everyone who's captain can't be dropped. So like
they'll get themselves in.
Everyone is droppable right now. Or everyone is undroppable. I don't know.
But funny things, no? So most monkarts either result in an out or a not out. This one was the first one which resulted in a hug.
Actually, sorry, I just checked, and apparently a few weeks back they had said that Shakib would be the captain for the World Cup. But this is Bangladesh. We don't know. Anything can happen anytime. We are talking about Ashwin coming in. They will be trying to figure out which captain to kick out. So it should be fine. Finally, we come to, of course, Pakistan. Thoughts?
Do they have their visas yet? Do they have their visas yet?
They don't have their visas yet. So Pakistan, does anyone want to talk about what's going on with Pakistan?
Something on the group today about sponsorships and contracts and something. Was it Pakistan or some other team?
Pakistan, yeah. So
it was Pakistan.
Apparently they haven't been paid by the PCB for the last 4 months. This includes both the annual retainers as well as regular match fees. So no wonder these guys go and play for, say, an LPL or say a Caribbean Premier League. So a lot of mess going around there.
So maybe they'll fight like corner tigers or something. 1992 maybe ऐसे ही हुआ था.
What about the Pakistan team though? Don't you think they're a pretty good team despite all the comedy that's happening around it? As just as a team structure with the number of people they bring in, do you think they're a good team? Pakistan versus South Africa, fourth semi-finalist.
I think
Pakistan has lost Naseem Shah, the
Yeah.
best bowler of the Asia Cup, and probably he would have been the best bowler of the World Cup had he played. They have lost Naseem Shah and they have brought in Hassan Ali, which is the most left field choice you would have thought. Like even for the 5 people who follow the PSL, Hassan Ali is still not a name you'd have thought of. Maybe like you'd have thought. I think Ishanullah is injured. I think that's one of the things. He was a big name in the PSL, but I thought at least Shahnawaz Dahani is in the mix. That Zaman Khan is in the mix. No, Hassan Ali they have brought in, so that is totally left field.
I feel Dahani, like I remember Zainab on this podcast, I believe she described Dahani. Isn't Dahani a spinner, if I'm not wrong?
No,
Or is he a pacer? He's a pacer. Okay. Well, why is Hassan Ali such a weird pick, Max? Tell us.
Because he's not been part of their plans also. Also, he's bowled. He's not been part of their plans also. That's why, right? Because when Naseem got injured, they said, okay, we're going to fly in Dahani. And they played, what's this guy, Zaman. But suddenly you say, chalo, Hassan Ali ko bulao. And it's just interesting to see what thought process was there. Also, they're wondering how they can pick Kuldeep Yadav in their 11.
Correct.
Proper singer, man.
You want to explain this?
I read this long thread from Asharar that explained kind of why Hassan Ali was picked because of experience and the fact that they already had a newbie in, what junior is he?
Mohammad
Wasim Jr. And they didn't want to bring 2 more in, Dahani and the other chap you mentioned. So I think they were looking for experience. Nevertheless, I don't even think Hassan Ali was playing in Pakistan for the longest time. I think he lives in England. I think he's been fully playing the county 100 and other things. He's chilling. I think he's got a British accent and all now. Don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe they just thought it's useful to bring some international experience in to play conditions that reflect home entirely. Just to throw the extra twist in our minds. I'm not sure.
Max, what about Pakistan spin? I think Shadab is obviously their first pick, but Nawaz seems quite basic, man.
Even Shadab is looking very basic right now.
I know.
Shadab was looking basic, unfortunately, in the Asia Cup.
Yeah.
Nawaz actually was having a tighter line in that India game.
Yeah. I think
that's the one thing for them to sort out. I mean, especially on Indian pitches. I think they have a game
They have one more spinner. His name, I'm not getting it.
Harry Potter, is it?
Harry Potter.
Abrar, yeah?
Abrar, no?
Usama.
No, he's not in the squad. He's
Salman
not in the squad.
Agha.
Someone else.
Salman Agha.
Macha, now you're just throwing names, Ra.
Salman Agha was a singer.
Actor.
And actress
Salman
back in the day.
Yeah.
No, he's a real player. Don't worry.
Yeah, Salman Agha is a real player. So is
of course.
Usama Mir. They're both like proper players.
Yeah,
I started wondering if I was like making up names on the go.
Once again, I'm saying Zainab spoke about all of them. She spoke about Dani. She spoke about Osama Mir. I think the person is probably like Abrar is whom they're looking at, and they're basically saying, can we get Abrar in? But to just talk about Pakistan's troubles before the World Cup. First, they lost Naseem. Second, there was an entire rumor, gossip, something about captaincy. So basically, Shaheen Shah Afridi said something to Babar Azam. Babar Azam said something back. So there was something in the dressing room which leaked. Then after that, Shadab goes and says something somewhere that we really like. He says a very strange thing about Babar Azam, the captain. He says that I like Babar Azam, the captain, so much. I love him so much when he's on the field. Off the field, I don't. Okay, which is a very weird thing to say about your captain. Okay, so then after that, there were news being leaked that Shadab Khan is going to be dropped. And then people were like, hey, how can you drop Shadab Khan? And now after that, Inzamam comes and says that we can't pick Kuldeep Yadav, so we have to pick these people. Okay. And now you find out the team has not been paid for 4 months. And now what they're really doing is, what they're saying is, we are going to take block out sponsors on our jerseys. So they're not saying we won't play. And the reason they're saying we will block out sponsors, stated reason, which is an interesting form of protest, is that, look, the sponsors have anyway paid money. So if they have paid money, you have taken the money. The money has not come to us. So because we are basically responsible for it, so we are going to basically make sure they don't get money. until you give money to us. It's an interesting form of protest.
Nice.
So this is
If
all
they're
set
able
up
to
for
put-
Pakistan to go to the semi-finals.
This is the equivalent of that Japanese strike, no? Left पैर का जूता बनाएंगे बस.
Yeah.
But tell me this, who do you think is going to be like the standout player of the World Cup? I don't mean like man of the series or something like that, but someone who's like really going to outshine the others and hasn't done so far. So yeah,
We get to choose one batsman, one
Babar
bowler.
and Gill.
Heinrich Klaassen.
Babar and Gill, macha, already there, no? Like someone, yeah, Klaassen is a good call. Someone who's like not so big right now, but is going to be completely changed, different, very highly regarded after this World Cup. Klaassen is a good
Oh,
call
what's that like
for
that?
me also.
And
For
Darren
me, it is
Mitchell. Those are my picks. Sorry.
Macha, don't say Ashwin for this also, okay?
Akshay. I was going to say Ashwin and Ashwin. Okay, what else? Who else is it going to be? Yeah, it's actually going to be an interesting World Cup. I think, yeah, Gill definitely seems like the most obvious pick. I feel like there will be one Afghanistan player who's just going to like just smash things. It just reminds me of like what Ireland did in 2011. Some kind of Kevin O'Brien kind of person will come. It could be, yeah, I think
Gurbaz.
it's probably Gurbaz. I think Gurbaz seems like the most obvious option.
I think the name sounds nice to PGK Gurbaz.
Gurbaz. Okay. Bold Ashwin. Nice. I like the sound of it.
No, I have a feeling Shakib will have a good series. I think Shakib will do well. I think Babar will do well. For India, I think Shubman will do well. And I actually don't think Butler is going to have a good World Cup. And yeah.
What about Stokes?
I don't know, man. I actually want entire England to just burn, crash, and like be dissolved into the mud at Chepauk or something like that. But yeah, so
Hey, just a curious experiment in any of your thoughts in this top 10 players saying, hey, do you have this Virat Kohli in it? Just curious. I want to, because I remember like this cricketer, but now we realize we're going into a whole
Nice
other
young upcoming
tangent.
cricketer he is, no?
That we don't think, oh, okay, he may be the top run scorer in the series and all that. Thought it didn't even strike any of us, man. Really moved on.
no, he's carried Indian cricket for 15 years.
Oh.
Yeah. Now Gill will carry him
This
on
is
the
that kind of
shoulders
World
once
Cup for
he
him.
Oh God.
Nice.
Nice.
Well,
Nice.
I think
This is the Gill to Virat kind of a World Cup.
Yeah. I'm going to pick two names, Choppy. First is Imamul Haq. He has a fairly good record playing in Pakistan on these kind of wickets. So Imam is my first choice. And the second is Quinton de Kock playing his last ODI tournament. So
nice. Yeah.
Nice song for him.
These kinds of wickets I have a problem with because it's because like, nobody knows what kind of wickets, right? First of all, we thought, okay, it is going to be the wickets that we generally get. Then they have said, no, ICC is doing these wickets. Then there is a news that it's going to be 60% batter and 40% bowler. I don't know how you set percentages on a pitch. So the kind of wickets, until the first week of the World Cup goes, I don't think anyone is going to have any idea what's going to happen. And until then, everyone's just going to go with their guesses and saying it's like how the Australia World Cup was, right? Everyone thought, okay, this is good. This is in Australia, it's going to be slam bam. But once you started playing, they realized, okay, this is not going to be a 200 kind of a World Cup, T20 World Cup. It's going to be a 160 kind of a thing. And then people started playing accordingly. So we don't know what kind of wickets are going to show up. Just because it's in India, we don't know what's going to be.
The real problem is that we won't know. You're saying we'll know only in like the first 10%, 20%. I'm saying that we will not know until we are very deep into the tournament, because it's not like, unlike Australia, they're not playing on 3 grounds. They are playing on like, God knows, 20, 25 venues are there. So you can't read anything into it. Some games will have their first game by the end of October, November and all. So you can't tell anything at this point in time. Oh, these pitches are like this. No, there are no general.
No, I'm only worried about 3 grounds. I'm only worried about what the surface at Eden, Wankhede, and Motera, because unlike Mohan, I'm not of the fact that India is not going to make the Final Four. India is going to make the Final Four. So I just need to know when we play at Wankhede or at Eden, what is going to happen? That's all I need to know.
Interesting. Okay, fair.
I think Santner is going to have a decent World Cup. I don't know how far New Zealand are going to go, but whatever experience he has had in the Chennai lineup, I think that's going to stand him in good stead. And one of the better, finger spinners in this World Cup. So I am thinking he's going to have a good one.
Give your top 4, Choppy. Semi-finalists.
I think it's going to be India, England, South Africa, and New Zealand. Yep.
Oh, no Australia, no Pakistan. Very bold. I like it.
The guy who
You should-
opened that
you
podcast
should
by
take some
saying we
bets
can
on
never
that.
count Australia out. Same guy, right? We can never count Australia out. We don't know when they show up. They will come like last benchers and face the exam.
That is
Final four women here.
Murli.
But it's what he would like. It's okay. Everybody can dream. You also got Ashwin in the World Cup squad. Am I saying anything? Quietly, we are accepting and putting bowling plans with you. Same way, Australia can sit at home and watch in Canberra. Here, for him, South Africa will play in their stead. You watch that last ball, they will make the run and they'll win that. Donald won't leave them stranded. You will watch. All those things we can also dream that. But for me, I would also really like it if occasionally, once in never, Australia don't make it to the semi-final of a World Cup. That I think is a good thing to expect. It's not so horrible. Choppy, 10 points to you.
Fun.
You go,
Max?
PGK. Your top 4. Yeah.
I mean, my top 4, I think I've been fairly clear. I think it is always going to be India, England, Australia, and Pakistan. I think these are going to be the top 4. It's only a question of whether India play Pakistan or India play England or India play Australia. But I think that's always how I saw it.
Maxi.
I think the problem with Max is he knows too much, so it's going to be difficult. All of us are like shooting in the dark.
He's called 11 teams interesting already.
Well, Murli was mentioning Donald. Donald is actually still in the World Cup. He is the Bangladesh bowling coach.
Yeah.
And Mustafiz has made a comeback thanks to him.
So he's starting from the bottom, he's striking off Afghanistan. No. Bangladesh. No. Then he's going from down. You started wrong because you got the game wrong. You continued up, Mayur.
No, but I'm with Peej on this one. I think India, Australia, England, and then mostly it is Pakistan. But it'll be in a very outside chance you have either South Africa or New Zealand, making that fourth spot. But yeah, it has to be these 4. At least given what we know today, the way teams are playing today. Now, suddenly tomorrow there's something, it could be different. We could have all Hardik pulls up and then India's not even in the tournament anymore. So, yeah.
I too have the same 4. India, England, Australia, and Pakistan.
Channeling your inner Sarfaraz. Same answer, no different. I would love it if Afghanistan is somehow able to sneak through to the... Oh, can't use snake for them, but somehow able to get through to the semis. I would love it.
Nice.
Afghanistan are a very difficult situation because their batting and because their bowling is, for example, they still have Gulbuddin Naib, who they're relying on as their second pacer, and Fazalak Farooqi is, I think, their first one. They have the 3 spinners in Nabi, Mujib, and Rash. But then I think their 6th bowling option is where it gets in trouble. And like, see what happened in the last World Cup, right? When Morgan just showed up, someone will show up like that and they'll be caught, in no man's land. And same thing with that batting. Like, they have a good buzz or...
Afghanistan being caught in no man's land. I mean, very dark humor.
So Harsha made this amazing point about Afghanistan a couple of years back. So Afghanistan is one team which doesn't have a number 8 problem because they have 11 number 8s in their side. They all bat like number 8s.
However, Afghanistan plays Pakistan in Chepauk.
Nice.
That will be a fun game.
Nice.
I mean, all of this
That
is
would be
true
fun.
about Afghanistan's batting and bowling and everything else, but I think first they need an analyst who can basically read Duckworth Lewis and tell them this is what the score is, man. You should chase. So I think that's the first position.
Yeah.
But I do agree. Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Chepa would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Murli,
Also-
your 4.
No, just in the midst of all of this, I wanted to remind all of you there is another team called Netherlands. They are also there. They have made it here. They want to say hi from the corner. They've taken Swiggy guys, auto wallahs and all, giving them opportunities to bowl in the nets. So some mad props to them. Hey, Netherlands, if you're listening to our podcast, we love you too. Thank you. Very good. Carrying on from that point. I have 2 fours. My prediction for what I believe in is India, England are a definite, Australia, and I want South Africa. But if there is a possibility, Australia could be replaced by Pakistan, nothing like it. But, that would be my dream because it would set it up so beautifully for that India-Pakistan, that Modi ji mein, so Babar Azam lifting the cup would be such a nice story to tell. So adhikaga, I think it's worth it. But I would think that it's India, England, Australia, and South Africa for me.
Murli, your prediction is not very crazy also because Australia is going to take them a lot of time to figure out their best 11. And the sooner they figure out their best 11 is when they will click.
Macha,
So
they were
if you
hoping
hope
you
that
would
they
give
lose-
them some clues today, but you've not given.
And their first game is against India. And already you can see how they are. Of course, you're right. They're not playing their best players, but still.
Nice.
Fun.
Yeah, so they don't know who they have to play, right? Again, just like how we have a Bumrah, Siraj, Shami, they have a Hazelwood, Cummins, Stark. Unfortunately, one of them is the captain, which cannot be dropped. So he has to play.
So there it is.
Super, bra. Macha, can Netherlands captain be dropped since you mentioned them?
Anybody? See, I'm
fun.
telling you, if you're a captain, you should not be dropped. That's the rule. You have to remember that.
Maybe they'll go Dutch with the captaincy.
Yeah. Fun.
Mm.
Nice. All right. That's a wonderful preview. I think we are 2 weeks away. By end of next week, I think we will just have had one more ODI done, and that will be the official, I guess, curtain raiser. Final version V3. This is final.doc. That will be the episode. All right. Anything else?
No.
All right. Wonderful. This has been a great episode. Thank you for joining us. And if you're listening to us on Bits and Pieces, please, we have this on YouTube. We have it on all the podcast platforms. Do like, do share, do subscribe. And yeah, goodbye from everybody, from all of us. Say bye.
Bye.
Bye. That's it.